Chaos is where we all begin. Every life, no matter how structured it may appear from the outside, is rooted in uncertainty, unpredictability, and a vast ocean of possibility. We're born into a world we don't understand, vulnerable, dependent, and unprepared. Chaos is not simply the storms that arrive unexpectedly, it is the very condition of existence itself. The question is not whether chaos will appear, but how we choose to engage with it. For some, chaos overwhelms, drowning them in disorder, fear, and paralysis. For others, chaos becomes the raw material out of which order, meaning, and even destiny are shaped. Think of chaos as the unformed clay of human life. In its raw state, it has no direction, no clarity, no defined purpose. It simply is, yet within it lies the potential for everything, the potential for greatness, for failure, for beauty, and for ruin. Left untouched, chaos consumes, but when met with discipline, it can be shaped, carved, and transformed into something far beyond its initial state. Chaos, then, is not the enemy, it is the necessary foundation for growth, for without uncertainty, there is no possibility of creation. This is where discipline enters the picture, not as a denial of chaos, but as the means by which we confront it. Discipline is the act of standing up to the storm rather than running from it. It is the courage to impose order on the disorder within ourselves and in the world around us. Without discipline, chaos dictates our lives. Our impulses take the reins, our fears shape our decisions, and our potential dissolves into wasted opportunity. But with discipline, chaos becomes the canvas on which destiny is painted. Consider the difference between a life surrendered to chaos and a life guided by discipline. In the first, days are consumed by distraction, energy is scattered, and the future collapses under the weight of aimlessness. In the second, each choice, however small, is directed toward meaning. The chaos doesn't disappear, it never does, but it is channeled, restrained, and transformed into something useful. The truth is simple but profound. You cannot eliminate chaos, but you can choose what to do with it. Discipline is the bridge between the uncertainty of what is and the possibility of what could be. And so the challenge is clear. Will you be consumed by chaos, or will you use it as the raw material from which your destiny is forged? Discipline is often misunderstood. People hear the word and immediately associate it with punishment, with rigid control, or with the loss of freedom. But discipline, in its truest form, is not about chains or restrictions. It is about voluntary order. It is the conscious act of shaping the chaos of life into a structure that supports growth, meaning, and purpose. Without discipline, chaos governs us. With it, we govern ourselves. When you impose order on your own life, you are not crushing your freedom. You are creating it. The person who lacks discipline may feel free in the moment, chasing every impulse, indulging every desire. But look more closely, and you'll see a life ruled by compulsion. Addiction, procrastination, distraction, these are not expressions of freedom. They are evidence of slavery to the lowest part of ourselves. By contrast, the disciplined individual is not controlled by impulse, but directs it. They choose deliberately where to aim their attention, how to spend their time, and what to sacrifice in the present for the sake of the future. That is not less freedom, it is more. Think of discipline as a kind of internal government. Without it, the many competing voices inside of you, fear, desire, laziness, envy, fight endlessly for dominance, and the result is inner anarchy. But discipline steps in as the rightful authority. It says, this is what matters, this is where we're going, and everything else must fall into line. That kind of order does not suffocate you, it liberates you. It frees you from chaos within, so you can confront the chaos without. What's remarkable is that discipline is always voluntary. It cannot be forced upon you in any meaningful sense, because true discipline requires choice. It is you deciding to stand against the chaos of your own impulses and to act according to something higher. And when you begin to practice this, even in small ways, the effects ripple outward. Order in your own life creates strength, and that strength radiates into the lives of others. So the paradox is revealed. Discipline feels like a limitation at first, but it becomes the very foundation of freedom. The undisciplined life collapses under its own disorder. The disciplined life opens doors to possibility. And the question you must answer is this: will you live at the mercy of impulse, or will you choose the voluntary order that leads to freedom and destiny? Sacrifice sits at the very heart of discipline. It is the recognition that every choice carries a cost, and that what you surrender in the present determines what you gain in the future. Human beings have always known this, even in ancient times. Entire systems of belief were built around the principle of sacrifice, offering something valuable now to secure something greater later. We may no longer bring offerings to the altar, but the truth remains. You cannot achieve anything meaningful without giving something up. The problem is that modern life seduces us into believing otherwise. We are told we can have everything pleasure without consequence, success without effort, fulfillment without struggle. But this is an illusion, and it is a dangerous one. Every indulgence in immediate comfort is borrowed against the future. Skip the discipline of study, and you inherit ignorance. Neglect the discipline of health, and you inherit weakness and disease. Avoid the discipline of responsibility, and you inherit chaos. The bill always comes due. Discipline, then, is the conscious choice to pay the price now instead of later. It's trading short-term gratification for long-term stability, meaning, and growth. When you wake up early to work, when you resist the temptation of distraction, when you choose responsibility over comfort, you are making sacrifices. And those sacrifices are not losses, they are investments. Each act of discipline is a down payment on the life you are trying to build. Think of your destiny as a structure under construction. Every day you are given a brick, your time, your energy, your choices. If you waste it, it is gone forever. If you invest it wisely, the structure rises, but it requires consistency, patience, and the willingness to delay gratification. Sacrifice is what transforms fleeting moments into lasting achievement. We cannot escape the reality of sacrifice. The only question is whether we will sacrifice what is easy today or what is meaningful tomorrow. One path leads to regret, the other to destiny. And so you must decide, will you pay the price willingly through discipline, or will you be forced to pay it painfully through the consequences of neglect? Because in the end, every destiny is purchased, and sacrifice is the currency. It is one of the great paradoxes of life that what feels like constraint is often the very thing that creates freedom. Many people recoil at the idea of discipline because they imagine it as a prison, a narrowing of options, a suffocating set of rules that strips life of spontaneity. But the truth is the opposite. Discipline is not the cage, it is the key. Without it, we do not move freely. We drift enslaved to our impulses, chained to distractions, bound by weakness. It is discipline that breaks those chains and allows us to act with strength, clarity, and purpose. Consider the person who refuses discipline in the name of freedom. They do what they want when they want, answering only to their desires. At first, it feels liberating, but look closely, and you'll see the slow erosion of autonomy. The one who eats without restraint becomes a slave to appetite. The one who avoids work becomes trapped in mediocrity and dependence. The one who seeks only pleasure becomes bound to emptiness and despair. Lack of discipline does not create freedom, it creates captivity. Now look at the disciplined individual. Their life appears structured, yes, but within that structure lies immense possibility. Because they have mastered themselves, they can choose their actions deliberately rather than being pulled in every direction by impulse. They are free to pursue excellence, free to build relationships rooted in trust, free to face challenges without crumbling. It is discipline that gives them the capacity to say no when it matters, and more importantly, to say yes to what truly counts. This is why discipline is best understood not as punishment, but as alignment. It is the alignment of daily choices with long-term values, the alignment of present sacrifice with future freedom. It is self-governance, the ability to take command of your own life rather than handing the wheel to chaos. In that sense, discipline doesn't shrink your life. It expands it. It opens doors that chaos slams shut. So the paradox resolves itself. The disciplined life may look narrow, but it is the only path that leads to true freedom. And the question is simple. Will you remain a prisoner of impulse, or will you embrace the structure that unlocks your strength? Responsibility is the weight that gives life substance. Without it, existence collapses into emptiness and chaos. Discipline at its highest level is not simply about self-control in the narrow sense. It is about taking responsibility, first for yourself, and then for the world around you. It means acknowledging that your choices matter, that your actions ripple outward, and that your destiny is shaped by what you are willing to carry. We often shy away from responsibility because it feels heavy. It demands sacrifice, effort, and maturity. Yet it is precisely that weight which grounds us. Imagine a person with no responsibilities, no one to care for, no tasks to fulfill, no higher aim to pursue. At first glance, it might look like freedom, but in truth it is unbearable. Without responsibility, life becomes shallow, disordered, and without meaning. It is through responsibility that we find the strength to endure suffering, the motivation to improve ourselves, and the courage to face the chaos that never goes away. What's striking is that responsibility transforms not only the individual, but also the world they inhabit. When you take responsibility for your health, you become stronger and more capable of supporting others. When you take responsibility for your work, you create value that ripples into society. When you take responsibility for your family, you build stability that reaches across generations. Discipline is not just about you. It is a moral act, a declaration that you will carry your share of the world's weight instead of leaving it for someone else. And here's the paradox. While responsibility feels heavy, it actually makes life lighter. The person who avoids responsibility in search of comfort discovers only fragility. But the one who accepts responsibility willingly becomes resilient, capable of withstanding hardship because they know why they are enduring it. Discipline gives you the strength to carry burdens, and responsibility gives those burdens meaning. So if you want to transform chaos into order, begin by shouldering responsibility first for yourself, then for those who depend on you, and finally for the world you touch. The weight will test you, but it will also build you. And the truth is simple. You cannot create destiny without responsibility, because destiny is nothing more than disciplined responsibility carried to its highest form. Destiny is not a mystery waiting to be uncovered. It is the sum of disciplined actions repeated day after day. Too often people think of destiny as something external, a path written in the stars or dictated by forces beyond their control. But the truth is far more sobering and far more empowering. Destiny is constructed brick by brick through the habits you form, the sacrifices you make, and the responsibilities you accept. It is not given, it is forged. If you want to know your future, look at your daily disciplines. What you choose to do consistently becomes who you are. The student who disciplines themselves to study while others waste time gradually becomes the expert. The person who disciplines their body with exercise and healthy choices grows into strength while others fall into weakness. The one who disciplines their mind to focus on meaning rather than distraction builds resilience while others crumble under chaos. Destiny is not one grand moment of fate. It is the quiet accumulation of thousands of disciplined choices. Chaos will always be present, whispering temptations of comfort and ease. It will offer you the path of least resistance, the illusion that you can postpone effort indefinitely. But every day you choose comfort over discipline, you are drifting further from the life you could have lived. And every day you act with discipline, however small the act may seem, you are building the bridge that carries you forward into your potential. What makes this truth so profound is that it removes excuses. You cannot claim that destiny is outside your control when it is written into the fabric of your daily actions. If your life feels aimless, look at your habits. If your future looks uncertain, examine your discipline. The choices you repeat are the handwriting of destiny, and no one else can write them for you. So when we speak of discipline as the bridge between chaos and destiny, this is what we mean. Discipline is the force that transforms potential into reality. It is the architect of your future, and the question is not whether destiny exists, it does, but whether you will build it consciously through discipline or let it slip away into the hands of chaos. Destiny is not found, destiny is built.